The American Legion Post in Palm Springs says they have been dealing with a major problem in veterans dealing with PTSD, saying the difference between the level of care needed and the treatment available is too much. Peter Doubt spoke with a member of the Legion Post about what she's seen and an event to help raise funds to try and make things right.
Dr. Jordan, before we get to the event this Saturday, tell us, how big of a problem is PTSD among veterans and suicide?
This is a huge problem. I've been a clinician treating military veterans, and I'm also a military veteran myself, and survivor of PTSD. It's a huge issue because there's a big gap between treatment and the level of care that is needed, because everybody's different.
Yeah, everybody is different. And I have to ask, in light of recent events in Afghanistan, are you seeing more veterans who are suffering?
I've had battle buddies more often than not, and battle buddies for the people who are out aware, or other veterans reaching out to me who are dealing with a lot more than they normally would have, and needing the extra support. And the VA, I know, and I can't speak on behalf of them, but I do know that the VA is very overwhelmed trying to meet that demand.
They're overwhelmed. What are some of the signs and symptoms that people need to be sort of on the lookout for when dealing with people who may suffer from PTSD or have suicidal thoughts?
Well, it would depend on a few things, but some general things to look out for PTSD or post-acute trauma or post-acute stress would be if a person is just having a really hard time, say they have generalized anxiety disorder, and that's very comorbid with PTSD, so you'd have to really rule that out. But it's, troubling thoughts, invasive thoughts, maybe having to relive experiences, maybe not getting enough rest, and just generally not able to be around large groups of people. So it can be very debilitating.
And if we recognize somebody dealing with what you just experienced, what can or should we do?
Well, I'd be a good support. Mental health stigma has this, thanks to Hollywood and just a lack of knowledge on the subject, a very different picture of how it actually is to live with something like this. So just be a good support. Try to be as least judgmental as possible. Try not to over catastrophize or think that there's anything more that you really need to do other than just be a really good friend. And if they do have problems with suicidality or just thoughts that are troubling them, ask them how you can help. And if they don't have any of those resources available, feel free to look those things up and provide those to them.
So tell us about this Saturday's fundraiser.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you. This Saturday, we'll be having some comedians come out from LA, hosting basically an American Legion of Laughs event. And what that's supposed to do is to raise awareness for veterans with PTSD and for suicide awareness. So we let other veterans within the community and their families know that the American Legion Post 519 is there for them.
And I love that you've incorporated comedy into something that is a very serious topic. Why was that?
Yes. Well, like I said, I'm a former clinician, and I have to tell you, there was nothing that made my patients and my clients more happy than laughter. And laughter has been proven, through the brain's chemicals, oxytocin and dopamine, to make a person feel really good, more than just therapy alone. So I figured, why not bring us all together for a good laugh and raise awareness at the same time?
Absolutely. And before we let you go, Dr. Jordan, what are the details for Saturday's event? And if people want to get more information, where do they need to go?
Well, if they want to get more information, they can always contact the Legion. Then go to the Legion's Facebook page. But service members, family members, and friends of the Legion are always welcome. The doors open at 5. We'll be serving dinner. The show starts at 6 and it goes to 8. So that's this Saturday at the Legion.
And that's at 400 North Bellardo Road in Palm Springs. Dr. Jordan, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for speaking with us about such an important topic.
My pleasure. Thank you for being there for us.